All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. Not late at all today, regardless of what Sam Smith will try to tell you in the chat. We start on time because Max and I have been going for a while now. We've been recording our Saturday predictions already. We got some big games on tap on Saturday. Kentucky, St. John's, Houston, Arkansas. The picks are in for those two. We still got to record Auburn, Purdue. Also a game outside the conference we're going to touch on, Duke and Texas Tech. So got some fun ones coming up here on the channel. Had a fun one last night, Max, in Memphis.
We did?
Where Vanderbilt gets a 77-70 win over the Tigers in overtime. Wild game. Very wild game in that one at the FedEx Forum. And, man, the Commodores 11-0 now. They're unbeaten. They currently have – that was a quad 2 win for Vanderbilt. So they now have a combined 5 quad 1 and quad 2 wins. That is 2 more than any other team in the SEC right now. Was certainly not the prettiest performance. And I told you, I did, not going to lie, I did the emotional hedge. I went Memphis money line here in what was a 9.5-point spread. I thought this would be a tough game. I thought it was just a kind of a bad setup. We said it yesterday. You know, your first road game in a while, over a month. You're playing a team that is about as desperate as it gets. And when you watch Penny Hardaway over there throughout this game, you're looking at a guy who just was, I mean, miserable. Like, he was just like, I know our season is on the line here, and I am doing everything I can to try to find a way to win this game. And give his players credit. I mean, that first part of the game, they looked completely disinterested. But they turned it on after that. The pressure, the full court press, like Vanderbilt wanted no part of that. Commodores turned it over 20 times in this game. Looked rattled there for a bit. But in the end, it's your usual guys. It's Duke Miles stepping up, Tyler Tanner stepping up, making big plays. But really the story here, Jalen Washington. Hit him 14 from the free throw line. Hit some big free throws down the stretch. Nice win for the Commodores.
Yeah, this was a really entertaining game to watch. Great crowd. Who doesn't love watching Penny? Just the amount of, you can tell that whoever was in the ESPN control room, whoever was the producer, every dead ball, they're like, ready up the Penny camera, because they're going to the shot of Hardaway at every dead ball because he was giving some funny reaction. Into the game, though, the crowd was a huge factor in that second half. Mark Byington said that he was, I think the quote was, shocked that Vanderbilt didn't do well against the full court press. That's kind of what this team is supposed to be able to be built to withstand, with all the different ball handlers. So good and bad there. You kind of get punched in the mouth there in terms of your turnover rate to start. You got to work on that. It's not as good as you thought it was, or at least this was just the worst performance in terms of ball protection, ball security of the season. So it's a good little reset there. And then you shoot, 19%, 20% from three. And there were a few of those were quick shots that were in the moment of the Memphis run. And I'm thinking, man, I get the, free-flowing offense, but you could have gotten a better shot, get a foul, get to the free throw line, get a paint touch first or something. Duke, Memphis is on a run, and Duke Miles is out here doing flashy behind-the-back passes. And it's not really the time for that, Duke. But I thought, Tyler Nichols, one of the best shooters in the entire country. He's not going 2 of 10 on a lot of clean looks. Duke Miles 0 of 5 on some clean looks. So you would stand your worst offensive performance, shooting, turnovers, whatever you want to call it. It was the worst offensive performance. And you find a way to win. It wasn't pretty. It was ugly. Byington, I think, said, what was his quote? Quote from Byington, "This wasn't pretty, but to have the resiliency and toughness to come back on the road in this environment, I was impressed with the team. Felt like an SEC road environment." So first kind of real shaky offensive performance. The amount of times, like the last 5 minutes, I'm going, just get the ball to Tanner. Give it to Tanner. He's not going to turn it over.
They couldn't get it there. Like, they were just
No.
throwing it all over the place. They couldn't even figure out where he was on the floor. Like, they just, I mean, the ball was, it had to be a very frustrating, easily the most frustrating game Mark Byington's had as a coach for a while. That was a frustrating one to watch. But I think Chris brings up a point. They were saying this on the broadcast too. I think it was Dane Bradshaw mentioning it. Like, it's the first time you've kind of faced this sort of adversity, right? It's a much different setting than, like we even said, having a close game against Western Kentucky in the Bahamas and all that. Some of that you're just going to throw out and be like, yeah, whatever. Everyone has ups and downs, I think, in these neutral court holiday type games. But yeah, I think the fact that they faced the adversity, they got down there in the second half, and Memphis is up 5 midway through the second. And you're just like, all right, like, this is where you find out, what's a team made of. And then McLaughlin misses the 2 free throws. It goes to overtime. It's like another just mental blow where you're just like, oh, man, here we go. Like, you just felt all the momentum shift back towards Memphis to get this game to overtime. And yet they come out, they make the plays in overtime, and, they were the more aggressive team and took care of the ball. So, yeah, I mean, that's all you can do, right? I mean, you play what's in front of you. And after just a terrible offensive performance, you still win the game on the road and stay unbeaten. So I think, yeah, that's just it's kind of one of those where you're going to have to play better. I think you have to play better to win on Sunday, because I think Wake Forest is a tougher, and you better believe Steve Forbes probably watching that tape saying, you think we should put some pressure on them on Sunday, you say. So don't be surprised if Wake Forest tries to come out and get after him, which, by the way, Wake Forest is like top 20 in the country in forced turnovers right now. So that's another story to watch for Vanderbilt. They better learn quick, because, hey, if they come out throwing the ball around against Wake Forest, they're going to get beat, is what I think. So, yeah, that was a very interesting game, but I think that's what we're going to keep talking about all season. When you have two guys like Duke Miles and Tyler Tanner you can lean on, when you do have a Tyler Nickel 2-10 game, which isn't going to happen often, McLaughlin probably feels like he could have played much better. That's the story, though, is that I think the overall depth and potential options you have to turn to, I think, is going to be the big story for them all year long. But really, the bigger story could be just leaning on two guys. And so the column I'm writing for the Basket Under Review this week, I'm going to have an early look at SEC Player of the Year candidates. I've got my short list of like 12. Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles are both on there because I think they have to be. And so I think that just kind of shows you when you can lean on two guys like that right now, who, again, probably would like a few plays back they had here, but that's why they're so tough to beat, is just, that they kind of have that swagger, that confidence to them that they're going to find ways to win, and so far, they have.
Yeah, Devin McLaughlin picking up his third foul, on the first possession of the second half, second possession of the second half, and then sits for a long time. That had a big impact on allowing Memphis to go on that run. But I mean, just think about this. If you said before the game, okay, Vanderbilt's going to go on the road tonight. They're going to be about an 8 to 9 point favorite. They're going to turn the ball over 20 times. They're only going to make 6 threes. Tyler Nickel it goes 2 of 10. So, well, geez, they probably lost. Yeah. So to find a way to win when probably the two foundations of your offense, perimeter shooting and taking care of the basketball, are horrible, and you still find a way to win, that's encouraging. There's stuff to work on. There's something like Chris said. Did Memphis expose a Vandy weakness?
We'll see.
We'll see.
It was a weakness last night. But
it was last night.
Yeah.
And you still find a way to win. So, hey, you got a few days, probably 2 days of practice, a day or two of practice to clean that up. And we'll see against Wake Forest. If it's the same problem against Wake Forest, you better believe Blake and I are going to come back on here and go, all right, Vanderbilt's got a little bit of an issue here against some pressure, and it's been exposed in the past 2 games. But if they come back and it's a great road win against Wake Forest, okay, they ran into a little bit of a tough environment there at Memphis. It happens.
I mean, and I don't want to say like Mark Byton's like salivating over this idea, but I think if you're a coach, this is a perfect setup because
Yep.
you come off of that game where you are throwing the ball all around the arena. And now you're going to go play the team who is by far the best that you've seen on your schedule at forcing turnovers. And it's like, how do you adapt in 3 days? You got Thursday, Friday, Saturday to prep for this game. How do you adapt? So, like, I think it's the perfect. And I mean, winning. If you'd have lost that game, it's probably not. But like coming out with a win, like you want to talk about like the perfect teaching type moment. This is something where now you're going to get the opportunity to do that because it is a tough spot on Sunday at Wake Forest. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's one where they got to get better there. But also we can also, I think, step back for a second. And I know I see all the comments, and we knew this was going to happen. Didn't matter if Vandy would have won by 40 or 80, it wouldn't have mattered. Like I get it. People are not sold on Vandy, and an overtime win at Memphis isn't going to sell you anymore when you watch them turn the ball over that much. But I think it's also just something where, you know, these are the kind of games that eventually, if you're going to be where you want to be, you've got to find a way to win. And this was not the norm. Like, they have been one of the best teams in the country at protecting the ball. They were not last night. So how many teams can do what Memphis did? Wake Forest can, and probably better. But how many other teams are going to be able to do that? We'll see. I think some people are like, well, every team's going to press them now.
Yeah.
It ain't that easy just to say, hey, go press this team and turn the ball. No, you got to know how to run a press. You got to know how to defend, like those kind of things. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So.
Yeah, I don't want to, overreact, too much, but there is some reason for a little bit of concern. But I don't think one game where you turn the ball over a lot and you only shoot 19%, I don't think that, overrides a 25-point win against St. Mary's, a 20-point win against SMU, 15-point win against VCU, drop on 105 at UCF. Got to look at the full thing as well.
Well, and look, Big Gator EJ, we've had this battle, the past couple weeks. Like, it is the same. It's somewhat similar, right? Like, it's last year, Florida wasn't any good because they didn't win by enough points and all this. And like I've said, I mean, I'm not going to just keep repeating it, but I don't think Vandy's winning a national championship this year. I don't think they're probably making the Final Four. But still, I also am just looking at what's in front of me. And what's in front of me is this right here. And, like, I know, like, Word Up Ninja's like, hey, let's see Vandy play at UConn. Well, look, Florida's toughest game in the non-conference last year was what, Max? You remember?
It wasn't a good game.
It was North Carolina, and that was it. Like, that was the only game they had that was probably even somewhat respectable, and that was against a 23-14 North Carolina team. So, like, we can play it any way you want. You can argue either way. And look, Jamie, we've had our fun with the back and forth, and I know you just said in the comments, like, hey, Vandy getting all these passes. But you also said that you think that Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, and even Kentucky are better than Vanderbilt. And I just think that's absurd. I don't think that's true at all. If you look at the performances this year, there's no way Kentucky is anywhere close to Vanderbilt right now. Now, could the Cats get there if they beat St. John's on Saturday? Absolutely. And let's say Vanderbilt goes and loses at Wake Forest on Sunday. If you played the game on Monday, we may change our opinion. But to this point, Kentucky has nowhere been close to playing the way that Vanderbilt has played from a performance standpoint. So I think you'd even argue that a team like Tennessee coming off a win against Louisville, I still think Tennessee leaves a lot to be desired. So it's early, but all the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not going to sit here and just rail on a team who's 11-0 right now. Because if it was your team, we wouldn't rail on that team either if they were 11-0. We would point out what was an obvious issue last night in turning the ball over. And if that carries over, Vanderbilt's going to start losing some games as early as Sunday. But for now, what else do I say? Like, they're really good. And like I mentioned a minute ago, if you want to, some days we want to use analytics, some days we don't. We got to decide on which one we're using here because, again, Vandy has the exact number of quad one wins, 2, as Alabama, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Vandy has 2 more combined quad one and quad 2 wins as any other team in the SEC. So I mean, I get it. Like, they've not beaten these top 5, top 10 level teams. And that may end up hurting them. Who knows? Like, once you get into the grind of the SEC, they're going to lose some games. No one here's saying they're going to go unbeaten. But I will push back a little bit on the fact that they're not any good, because I just think that's ridiculous. So there you have it.
Preseason, on their analytical preseason ranking was 19th. This is before they didn't play anybody, before all this. Just their roster and their analytical profile of the roster that they've put together was 19th. It was already a top 20 roster analytically coming into the season. So this craze hysteria, Vandy's not a top 20 team. They were projected top 20 before they even played a game. You just weren't caught up with the portal, I guess. I don't know. I mean, this idea that it's like crazy that they're not top 20, that's what the expectation was.
Look, I mean, Word Up Ninja says it best here. Like, yeah, Vandy's improved. There's no doubt. Like, we're not crowning them. Like, no one's crowning an SEC champion right now. If we were, we'd crown Arkansas. They're number 1 in our power rankings. Arkansas would be crowned the champion right now. We're not crowning anybody. But we also aren't going to sit back and act like it's, But look, Jamie, too, I agree with you. Like, sure. I'm not saying they're going to be a great team by season's end. But here's the thing. I can only go on what I see right now, right? Like, we have fun projecting, but I can't see the future. Believe it or not, if I could, my predictions record this year would be way higher. It sucks. But, I mean, it just, like, we can all make claims that we think this is going to happen and that's going to happen, but I tend to focus on, here's what I'm seeing now. I don't know if Vanderbilt's going to win the game against, hell, even South Carolina on January 3rd. They may go lose to South Carolina. I don't know. I can't tell you what's going to happen on January 3rd. But we mentioned, if they turn the ball over like they did last night, which was outside the norm, if that becomes a trend, they might be in a little trouble. And we'll find out on Wednesday or on Sunday against Wake Forest. So, yeah.
If Vanderbilt, you put the same exact schedule and everything, same results, but you just said Kentucky is Vanderbilt and Vanderbilt is Kentucky. Kentucky would be number 1 in every power ranking.
They'd be number 1 in the country.
Be
number 3 at worst. So
AP number 1, everything. It's just because the team name is Vanderbilt. That's literally the only reason.
Well, listen, Diego Pavia is not playing basketball. No need to be upset at the Commodores. But no. So no, I get it, Jamie. Listen, we have our fun here. That's why we appreciate you, Jamie. We can have constructive back and forth here. So yeah, hype after a soft schedule. Yeah, it's not the hardest schedule. It's also not the worst schedule. It's probably in the middle of the pack. Right now, Ken Pom has it at 120. So that's above average. But it's also not, Alabama is probably, what's Alabama now? 2. Alabama's got the second toughest schedule. Let's look at it from Ken Pom's metrics here. Florida has 13th.
I mean, they have a tougher non-conference schedule on the analytics than Arkansas. Arkansas's strength of schedule is 124. Vanderbilt's is 120th.
Yeah, Tennessee's 57. Who else? Kentucky's got to be up there. Kentucky's 147. So, which feels a little off to me. But, again,
Vanderbilt has a higher strength of schedule than Arkansas and Kentucky there.
Yeah. So, there you have it. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I think Sunday is a big game. And right now, it's a tough one, I think, at Wake Forest. That's a tough one for me. So, will I be emotionally hedging the Wake Forest money line? You better believe it on Sunday. All right. The Commodores get the win. And now, who else got a win last night? Alabama got a win, Max, in a high-scoring game as we expected.
What a game.
104-93. The Nate Oates versus Brian Hodgson battle again. Delivers with some points here. What was it? A combined 112 points scored in the second half, I think. Between the two teams is 58-54. Basically an entire, Tony Bennett era Virginia game happened in the second half in Tuscaloosa as 104-93. In the final, LeBaron Philon, who's also at the top of that Player of the Year candidate list that I have going. 29 points, 7 assists in this one. Interesting game here, wasn't it?
Yeah, we knew it was going to be with Hodgson. He turned a corner there against Utah State. their analytics, South Florida's, are, if you know about shot quality has South Florida as one of the teams that's like most due for improvement. Their 3-point variance, they are just so due, and it's been coming around ever since the Utah State game. That Isaiah Nelson, man, every time I watched Arkansas State the past 2 years, I'm like, this guy is a difference maker out there, and he just keeps getting better. I would not be surprised if you see like an Isaiah Nelson on a G League team or something, and in a few years, Isaiah Nelson finds his way on an NBA roster. That guy is incredible. He could be a SEC contributor, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. 25 points, 12 rebounds. He's an absolute beast around the rim. 2 blocks, 3 steals. That guy was a difference maker. It's just good to see Alabama kind of having everybody healthy finally.
Yeah.
Almost everybody. Almost everybody. But it's as full of a roster as we've had, minus Amari Allen.
I know. It's like, that's just a big what if for Alabama. We talk about like projecting ahead. Alabama's a hard team to project just because you just look at how many guys have been in and out, man. And it's like, what's going to happen when we actually see Alabama get a consistent rhythm with certain rotations? Because right now it's like, well, guy's in, he's out, in, out. Like, you're just, and that's the good thing, is that they do have so many guys they can play. But, we've hyped up their depth for a while now. But, man, it's just like, what's the eventual, like, constant going to be when you get into those rotations in SEC play, where it just, some of these games do become a grind? I think that's what I'm still curious about to see with Alabama. But, it was you want to talk about a contrast, it felt like in games. Like, again, that Vanderbilt Memphis game was just ugly. This was, about what we thought it would be. Like, very entertaining, just a lot of up and down. And, yeah, I mean, Philon, right now, would he get your vote for SEC Player of the Year?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the top of my list. I think he's the choice right now. And, yeah, I mean, the guy just keeps delivering, I mean, every single time out. And, yeah, man, it's hard to kind of think about, Mark Sears and what he did for Alabama and all that. And then you're like, you've just got this guy right here who just can step in, and all of a sudden he just becomes the guy, right? And we knew last year, we're like, look at the upside that Philon has, but just seamlessly has stepped in, the guy, and we know how important the guy who's the primary ball handler in a NATO's offense is. Man, he's terrific.
Well, when we did our preseason awards, I had Tommy Haw as my preseason player of the year, SEC player of the year. Got to go with Tommy H. But number 2, I had Philon. I didn't even have Owe up there. It was between Haw and Philon for me. I went on Barnes on Bama, Owen Barnes' Alabama podcast, and he asked me the same question. He said, who would you pick for SEC Player of the Year right now? And I said, it's a really tough decision for me. I might go with Philon. And he's playing like it. Another guy, well, he's not playing like an SEC Player of the Year, but he finally responded on the boards as Taylor Bowen sets his career high in offensive rebounds with 6 offensive boards. Coming off the bench, London Jemison got the start. Did you see that? Taylor Bowen, first game of the year that he doesn't start in. He didn't play in the UTSA game, was hurt. But in every game that he had played in, Taylor Bowen was the starter. First time this season, comes off the bench. And what do you know? Sit on the bench? What does that do for you? Let me get my career high in offensive rebounds. Maybe a sign of things to come for Taylor Bowen?
Maybe. Think about the video we did on that guy, like this offseason. Like, I don't know, if you go back, like, we might have the most excitement for any player and any transfer out there. We were just so excited watching this guy. And yeah, like, I think you could tell, like, he can be a big factor for this team. And like, you've started to see the minutes again become a little bit more consistent with him. So I still, if we're talking full strength here, okay, I still think the upside for Alabama is about as high as it gets for any team in the SEC. But it's just so far, it just hadn't seen him at full strength, it feels like. And so, yeah, it's kind of one of those where interesting finish, by the way, to their SEC or their non-SEC slate. Kennesaw State and Yale. So, right back.
Yeah, Yale guys Yale was preseason 102nd on the analytics. That's what they were coming into the season. Right now they're 77th. They are pretty dang good again. Nick Townsend at 6'7", 240. 6'7", 240. Yeah, you heard me. 6'7", 240 is a beast. Townsend. That's going to be quite the matchup in that game. Blake, did you see the projection for the total of the Kennesaw State game? Just what Alabama projected.
Yeah. So Kennesaw State, top 10 in the country in tempo. Their average offensive possession length is like 15 seconds. And, of course, Antoine Petway. So the Nate Oates assistant, tour continues here.
Yep.
And, so, like, I think Alabama, that game is played where? That's in Huntsville. So it's at the Von Braun Center, yeah. So I think Alabama's scoring, like, if Alabama doesn't hit, like, 105, I'd be shocked.
They might get into, like, 110s, 120s in a game like this.
Yeah, I think so. So good win for Alabama because, again, I think that's a USF team. I know they're 6-5, but we know I think Brian Hodgson's good coach, and listen, we can knock on them for being 6-5, but let's call it what it is. The American's going to be they're going to be easily one of the best teams in the American this season once conference play starts, I think. So, all right. Next up. Phil. Phil just hitting an open wound here. Rodney Rice.
Is he out for the year?
On the fantasy team, out for the year. Brutal. So, absolutely brutal. Ben, I'm going to push back on this. Vanderbilt has not played 11 bye games. It's absurd. It's a ridiculous statement. Come on, Ben. We appreciate the contributions, but come on, Ben. All right. Hey, we're gonna find out. This Vandy debate has become like our. There had to be a team last year that was like this. Who was it last year? Trying to think if there's a comparison. I don't know. Florida, maybe. Like I said, but
we got to pull up the fantasy at the end of the show just to update.
I'm Rodney Rice out for the year. I'm out for the year on the game. I'm done.
Hey, I haven't had Donnie Freeman for a month.
Yeah, well, he'll be back eventually. All right, the Gators, 102-61 over St. Francis. If you got the 45.5, we apologize. We did suggest that, but only got to 41 as the Gators take care of business. Everybody's excited about the dunk. Max, that may be the highlight of the game for most people, was the dunk here. But, yeah, I don't really have a lot to add on this one. I mean, Florida, come on. They handled their business against a not-so-great team, and I think the story continues to be Xavier Lee. And if you were wishing for his downfall, apologies, because that is no longer the case. He has scored at least 18 points in 4 of the last 5 games. He's back, baby. And that's huge for Florida as we get ready to enter SEC play.
Everybody that was down on Xavier Lee, just killing the kid for a slow start. I hope you feel bad right now. I do. I hope you feel horrible for getting down on the kid. Give him a few weeks at least to adjust. My gosh. You think Bill Self, Rick Pitino, Todd Golden were just throwing a dart in the air, just blind throwing darts? Oh, I hope Xavier Lee's good. Of course he's good. One of the top point guard recruits in the entire country this portal season. I love how he's responded. Love it. Here's a cool stat from Florida Basketball Hour. First time 8 different players made a 3 for the Gators since 2018. In 7 years since that many players got in on the action. You saw the freshmen there, Ingram and Lloyd, playing in together at the same time. Lloyd got some good looks, didn't knock him down, but you got a little bit of everybody in there.
Yeah. No, I think that's, all you can ask for in a game like this is just get everybody some action, get the people excited with a little dunk action. Come on. What's not to like? Yeah, I mean, Florida's going to be interesting. Like we said, I feel like people really wanted to write off Florida just for let's say, losing the game to TCU, we're kind of uh-oh, and Lee was not playing well at the time, and you're thinking this is gonna last all season. I think we just kept pushing back on that. Like, hey, some of this can be a mental thing when you're in a new spot, you struggle out the gate. It takes a little time to turn it back around, and will he still have some bad games? Sure, I'm sure he will. But I think though this is the most positive development you could see for Florida at this point in the season is to see this guy getting back on track, looking like the player that they again knew they were going to get from Princeton, and we mentioned like all the accolades there and just kind of how he would fit into Todd Golden's system and all that stuff. But yeah, I think that's all you want to see here if you're a Florida fan. Moving in the right direction, you're going to feel like your overall resume coming out of non-conference play is not what it should be because you feel like you left a couple on the table there. But nonetheless, I think for Florida moving forward, they've got the tools to win the SEC. They got the tools. It's just the shooting, will it get better, and turn the ball over, some of those things. So yeah, be interesting.
Yeah, Chris brings up a good point with Isaiah Brown. Past 2 games, I've liked what I've seen from Isaiah Brown. Past 2 games, he looked decent in the George Washington game as well. Kind of passed, not really filling it up, but he's passing my eye test. 100% passing my eye test. Like I told you in the power rankings, I'm buying low on the Gators. I am still buying low on the Gators. I think the way that this schedule sets up, we put out that YouTube short the other day. I think if you're going to have some close road games here, Mizzou, Oklahoma, Vandy, not easy. And you got Tennessee and Georgia at home. But I see the path to Florida going on a multi-week run here, not losing. You can see the path.
Yep. Gators got a chance to build some momentum here for sure. So, yep, Florida 7-4, and we'll see. Colgate coming up on Sunday. So, all right. The only other game of the night we'll quickly hit on, and then we got to wrap up here soon because we got to go chat with Mother Carol for our special Legend show with Mother Carol. That'll be a recorded video, won't be live, but you guys will get that on the channel here. Probably, I think we're going to air that tomorrow. We'll see exactly on the date. But one of the game last night, Max, Ole Miss 60, Alabama 80, Alabama A&M 66. Malik Dia trying to come through for my injury-ridden fantasy team. Has a nice game here, 27-7 for Malik Dia. Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's kind of one of those where Ole Miss is clearly a team that I think we're going to be interested in seeing how things play out for them in SEC play. We keep saying, like, it's hard to know. We can't see the future here, but I just think Ole Miss is probably one of the more unpredictable teams on my list right now. Of like, I don't have a great grasp on what I think they can be in SEC play just yet. But we're going to get another, kind of test for them coming up on Sunday too against NC State, a team that also feels like it's a team that's a work in progress. So I think it's one of the more interesting games on Ole Miss's schedule to this point because I think you kind of feel like they're two teams, not in the same place necessarily, but two teams that kind of understand that they still got work to do if they're going to, be where they want to be come March.
So the SEC goes 4-0 last night, but 0-4 against the spread. Didn't cover. And I said in the preview, hey, this is an opportunity against an Alabama A&M team who's not very good at all. And your analytical projection was 17 points, something like that. This is a game where you could be up 20 at halftime. You win by 40 and you crush the analytics and you jump up into that top 50 again. Well, you win the game, but since you didn't cover, you lose a few spots in the analytics down to 60th now. In KenPom, Alabama A&M was without 3 different players. Only out rebounded them by 3. I thought this was a bad result. This was an opportunity here, big time opportunity, and you just keep moving back.
Yeah, I think the Sunday game, because like now you're basically 2 weeks removed from the St. John's game, where it did feel like you played better overall than you did in those previous 3 during that 4-game losing streak. And talked about kind of had to squeak one out against Southern Miss. Now, feel like, kind Could have played better against Alabama A&M. Like, this is the kind of one where if you want to say, like, a win can rejuvenate you, like, can change the course of your season, right? I feel like the NC State game is huge because, if you can win that one, then all of a sudden you've got that confidence back in these kind of games. The games you're going to see more of in SEC play right now, their best win on the season is Memphis, and that was back on November the 11th. And so I'm just like, just come on, guys. Like, hey, find a way to somehow get that win on Sunday. Like, just, you got to find a way, because I think that's exactly what this team needs. They need that boost of confidence to get them headed in the right direction before that opener against Oklahoma in Norman on January 3rd. So, yeah, Ole Miss has got a lot of work to do to get back in the NCAA tournament picture. In the net this morning, they are sitting at 91, so they've moved up a bit. But, like, remember, at one point they were like 115 or something. So they're at 91 this morning. Just still, got work to do, no question. So
right now, it's still early, but Torvik is projecting Ole Miss % chance to make the tournament 2%. So got a lot of work to do.
There you go. All right. Our only game tonight. Before we get to that, how about we tell you about the Yearly Company real quick? Nashville-based fine jewelry brand, built on tradition, designed for meaning. Each piece handcrafted, 14-karat gold, natural gemstones, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every Yearly Company bangle, custom size. Knowing your size, the most important step before you order. You can use our code SC16KIT for 100% off the sizing kit. Over there at checkout, SC16KIT, 100% off the sizing kit over at the Yearly Company. And, hey, if you think there are other Nashville brands that are overrated, I'll tell you one brand that's not overrated. That's the Yearly Company. Check them out over there. Holiday season shopping. Although, come on, folks. December 18th. Let's get it done. SC16KIT, 100% off. Also, ROKFORM. You know it by now. The world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets for rock lock. Secure mounting. Use our code SEC25 for 25% off over at ROKFORM. All right. Only one game tonight. We're not going to spend much time on it, as it will be the number 25 Dogs, Georgia, facing Western Carolina. Max, and you want to talk about, like, a gap in terms of, like, teams? Like, this is where I think, like, you're not going to find out tonight. But, Georgia, to me, is way more of a mystery entering SEC play than, let's say, a team like Vanderbilt or, LSU's probably similar because LSU has 8 of their 9 wins in Quad 3 and Quad 4. Like, Georgia's 6 wins in Quad 4, 3 wins in Quad 3. They've only played one game, period, in Quad 1 and Quad 2. So I think that's where, to me, Georgia's the better example. If you're going to push back on someone and be like, hey, I really am waiting to see how this plays out, I think Georgia can still be a contender there because they're going to win their next 3 games. Western Carolina, West Georgia, LIU. But still, it's hard to knock what we've seen to this point with the eye test because they're just, their offense is just incredible right now. And I think that's been the difference. So,
yeah, where Vanderbilt's strength of schedule is 120th, Georgia's is 301st. Yeah, you wouldn't think that based on the general opinion on them. But yeah, I'd say LSU and Georgia would be my 2 teams that's like, I think they're good. I think they're tournament teams, but 1 or 2 bad performances against better competition could quickly change that opinion. Because really all you have for Georgia are those 3 games, Clemson, Cincinnati, and Xavier, because, guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention to Florida State, but holy smokes, they have absolutely, think of the biggest cliff you could possibly think of. That's what Florida State has fallen off of the past few weeks.
Yeah. Yep. So Georgia should get another big win tonight. Should put up a lot of points, but still, we'll see how it plays out once we get to SEC play, because that's going to really be our next gauge of where things really start to pick up. That first 2 games, really, home against Auburn, then out Florida. So, yeah, I think Georgia will be a team we will easily be overreacting to in the first 2 games of SEC play, just because it's the first time we've seen that step up, I think, in competition. So, yeah, going to be interesting. So, all right, we have 5 minutes. So we have to hop off here. Speaking of 5, Mother Carol, $5 super chat. In respect to the Vandy fans, and during the chat, enjoy your run and block out the noise. Mother Carol always coming through with some positive comments. Listen, everybody has their right to their opinion on certain teams. And if you want to push back on us and say we're homers for this team or that team, well, guess what? It's a Thursday. I've been called a fan of every single team over the past 2 years. So, and guess what? I am, because we're an SEC channel. I hope the SEC wins every single game. Won't be possible. Come January 3rd, teams are going to have to lose, but I'm rooting for the SEC to win every game they play because it makes these streams more fun, makes this more fun. Go SEC. Everybody go unbeaten until conference play. It's not possible, Max. I don't know if you knew that, but not possible. Yeah. All right.
I agree.
Appreciate the comments from Word Up Ninja. Unbiased in our coverage.
Nice.
Well, I mean, we're unbiased when it comes to like our love for the SEC. When it comes to our picks, sometimes we do get a little biased on picking the SEC, maybe. But yeah,
sure,
that's okay. Who cares? Come on. Although this year we've been fading the SEC a little more than we used to.
Definitely.
Yeah, no doubt. David asked, do we cover women's basketball? We did get asked that question yesterday in the mailbag for the members. Yeah. It's something we considered, and it will probably be on the horizon at some point. But at this very moment, we're not there yet. So, all right. What else we got here? Let me remove some of these. Word Up Ninja, having a little fun here. Vandy should have beat St. Mary's by 27 instead of 25. Too little on the spread there. Zebra asked earlier, what's Blake going to say when Vandy goes 8-10 in the SEC? I'll tell you what I'm going to say. Vandy's 8-10 in the SEC, but right now they're 11-0. I can't predict 10 losses this very second because we hadn't played the games yet. So if they go 8-10, they go 8-10. What do you want me to say? They're 11-0. Like, what do you guys want me to do? Like, this has gotten absurd. Like, what do you want me to say? I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship. How many times am I going to say it? They're 11-0. Like, there you have it. So,
and they're 6-5 ATS. I saw fade Vanderbilt and you'll get rich comment. If you've done that so far through the season, you've lost money. I don't understand this hate. Like, it's starting to piss me off. Jeez, guys.
It's fun. Like, we appreciate the engagement. Like, again, we're gonna have one of these teams every year. I feel like people did this to Oklahoma last year too, and ultimately they were proven somewhat right. But like, if you go back last year, Oklahoma had beaten, who was it? Like, they had a couple good wins, and people were like, they suck. That's terrible. Guys, remember, this is not last year's SEC. So if we sit here and talk positively about an 11-0 team right now, we'll take it, because at most, I think the SEC is probably getting 9 teams into the tournament this year. So you better believe we're going to lean on the positives right now in an SEC that has lost way more games in non-conference play this year than it did last year. So there you have it. All right, a couple more here. Salvation says, hey, got a little haterade going around here in the comments, huh? A little haterade. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh, Blake Barr. Sam's got the under on the Blake Barr number of wins, as we will be the Kentucky Wildcats basketball coach in the College Hoops 2K8 game. We have episode 1 up now for members. If you want to check that out on the channel, you go to our members section, watch the video there. An hour setting up our team, setting up our schedule, getting our recruits on the board, and yeah, our team sucks. Like, it's not a good squad. Let's call it what it is. Sam, as of right now, I'm thinking we're probably going to do that tomorrow. We'd plan to do it today, but we have a very busy schedule today. Getting our predictions done. We're about to hop on and chat with Mother Carol for a bit for the Legends show for her. And so we'll see what we can do. But at the latest, it'll be tomorrow for the next episode of Blake Barr. New member here. Word Up Ninja says, hey. Word up to the ninjas. New member. We appreciate that. Awesome stuff. So all you members are getting in on the MVP and Legends tiers. You get all of our bonus shows every week. Mailbag, review show, all that kind of stuff. So there you have it. All right, we got to hop off. We're going to go chat with Mother Carol. That Legends show will be up tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun on that one. Holly, Blake Bear or Blake Barr? Oh. Which one is it? Well, I think we know which one it is. So there you have it. Sean, having some fun on the way out. Oh, man, you guys are the best. So, anyways, we're out of here. All right. Thanks, you guys, as always. We enjoy the back and forth. Yes, you're the best. And hit that like button on the way out. Big weekend of SEC basketball. We're going to talk all about it.
Huge.
Predictions coming up for the big games. And yeah, we appreciate you guys watching as always. We'll talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.